Dr. Harsha, thank you very much for joining us this interview, and congratulations for your campaign.
Thank you.
And first of all, I would like to ask, being an economist, there are so many people who say so and so only can solve all these problems in the economy, and while there are others say no, we also can. Can you tell us the depth and the real problem that we are facing right now?
I don't think it has anything to do with the person per se. It's the solution that you have formulated to deal with the complex question that you have. So, if your ideology is the correct one and you can implement it, then at some point in time we can fix the problem that we are in. So, like I said, it's not the person per se, but it's the solution.
So what about the gravity of the problem right now? Yeah.
I mean, we came out of the depths of the crisis, but we are nowhere near, coming on shore, right? So, you see, we have a long period ahead of us, which we need to get our reforms done. Unless we are able to unshackle this market and sort of integrate with the global marketplace, I don't see how we can become a developed country even in another, 40 years. So it's a problem that can be solved, because look, we are only 20 million people and we are situated at the ideal geographic strategic location globally, and it's up to us to make sure that we leverage on these things, and so that is why sort of the political ideology of being statist and insular will never work. So we have to provide the platform for entrepreneurship, for investors to come to create a dynamic economy here, and we have to look outwards, right? So it's exports and what you call comparative import substitutes. So if we can, turn our manufacturing processes towards tradables, that's when we can start really accelerating and hopefully, get to the place where we want to.
Right. And specifically, with regard to the debt crisis that we had, and now Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe government introduced a plan, and should that be should that be the plan that we should follow, or is there an alternative?
Well, I mean, it's after multiple months, actually years of discussion, that we've come to some agreement. You can always say, we can do better, but also what matters is when, because every month we delay, interest is getting added on. So therefore, the solution has to be optimal. It's perhaps not going to be the best in terms of haircut or in terms of interest reduction, but optimal in the sense the net present value that we ultimately will have to bear and what they are willing to give up, right? So it's a balance, right? It's a balance. So that's how I see it.
Right. But now there's so the present government and the NPP government, so they are also following the same pattern. So you think that they are on the right track?
Well, would you go to an Ayurvedic physician and get a prescription for kasaya if you don't believe in Ayurveda medicine? You won't know. So these people have, for the last 4-5 decades, screaming about communism, about creating a socialist state. Even today, if you go to their headquarters, you see Marx, Lenin, Engels hanging there. And if you listen to the hardcore, you know, the thinking is completely different from what they are practicing. So I don't understand how this can succeed because if they are doing it only to please the IMF, that is going to be short-lived. Because unless you believe in something, you can't really deliver it. It's like acting. Actors can act, but it doesn't come from your inner soul. Right? So that's why I'm saying that this uh, sort of arrangement, in my view, is not going to work because soon the red and the pink are going to clash, right? And the pink does not have political power. It's a red that has the political power. And the pink is going to get gobbled up by the red. And the more the pink attempts to stick with the reforms of Mr. Vikramasinghe, the more agitated the red is going to become. So this clash of ideologies, if continued in this way, we will not bring the kind of results we're looking for. When I talked about those guys carrying on with RW's policies are on the extreme right. He's a neoliberal, whereas these people are completely on the left. Right? I mean, us, SJB, we proposed a plan, it was in our blueprint. That was a social market economy where we, yes, believe in the markets, but we also believe in economic justice and social equity. So that's really, in our view, the solution to the problem.
I think the higher up in the SJB has already said that they are ready to support this government. But what is your plan now? What are you campaigning for? Is it to grab the power, or what is it?
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't want to run in an election unless I am, hoping to win, right? So who wants to campaign to be in the opposition? I don't, right? So we are attempting to win. Well, the result obviously will depend on how people perceive our proposal. But we want to form a government.
Okay. So are you ready to to form a government under Kumar Dissanayake, or are you willing to make red, pink, yellow, and green in?
Yeah, I mean, it will be in the true sense, a national government if we win, because President AKD is already there for the next 5 years. We have no intention of trying to dislodge him. And then if somebody else we win, then there can be a multi-party mechanism to really deal with the economics issues that are going to be critically important. And in my view, people who have had absolutely no experience in governance and is bringing sort of the academic credentials, which I'm not questioning, alone will spell disaster. Because, I mean, I've been in Parliament now for 14 years, and what I know now, how to deal with governance is so much more nuanced, and I've learned so much, from the time I entered Parliament in 2010. And when I sort of chaired the Committee on Public Finance, having refused an offer by the President to join his cabinet, what I wanted to do was to ensure that we support the government at the time of Mr. Vikramasinghe's to get the country out of the depths that which it had fallen to has nothing to do with politics. Right? So when I, for instance, chaired the sessions, stormy ones, on the VFS visa matter, if I didn't have the kind of experience I had, I would never have been able to get that report out, which then went to the Supreme Court, and we got a order on it. So while new people who want to try out new things are welcome, uh, it must be sort of balanced with people who know and people who have experience, because otherwise this will fail. So therefore, in having some sort of uh, combined effort, whether it is like you said, the different colors, I think it will be best for the country. That's my view.
And none other than the Prime Minister Harani herself once said that we don't have experience, but we won't see that the country is bankrupt the way did those
Yeah,
experienced people did,
yeah.
which an allegation against you also, because you were in the Yahapalli government.
Yeah, I mean, people can say things, but it is difficult to deliver, and I'm speaking as someone who's delivered, and I know how difficult it is. Right? And, when you're teaching, it's easy, and in this country, nobody even asks you questions. Right? But it is a very different world out there. It's I mean, because not everyone is aligned, right? So if you have a government, you have an opposition, and then within your government you have different views. How are you going to balance these things? So we'll see to what extent these people are going to deliver positive results. But on bankrupting, that allegation, when she's pointing one finger at somebody else, she's pointing four fingers at herself. Because every time this country tried to reform, whether it be in education, whether it be in trade, whether it be in investment, what happened? There was so much opposition. And this opposition emanated from this political party. And for how long was this country held to ransom by these same people? I mean, I don't want to go back and try to find fault. I'm only answering a question because she has no right to only blame someone else if she's not willing to look at the mistakes made by, I don't know if they're mistakes or not, they have never sort of admitted them, or if it is still the ideology, right? So look inwards also, Harini.
And now coming back to your constituency, what are the salient problems in Colombo district and Colombo capital?
I mean, look, there are multiple issues of cost of living. In this district, people are generally employed uh, or doing something on their own, small and medium scale enterprise, um, also in the service trade. So making ends meet has become tough, has gotten tougher in the last few years. So cost of living is the biggest issue in Colombo. And then going beyond that, housing is an issue, particularly in the city limits. A lot of people live in, really dilapidated, small, um, sometimes unlivable homes. So that is another issue. Then schools, there's so much competition in trying to get to so-called good schools in Colombo, whereas many schools in Colombo are not what you think Colombo schools ought to be like, or other people think Colombo schools are like. Then congestion, right? I mean, how long it takes to get from Court Tower to Fort, right? And there, look at the passenger trains are impossible to get in and get out. And so there are multiple issues that need resolution. I mean, if you come to my own constituency of Kotte, it is the capital of this country, administrative capital. It doesn't have a storage system. You know, everyone has to have a pit. I mean, in the capital of this country, and these pits sort of overflow, and the municipality has only one working, what do you call this, gully sucker. It's a huge problem, and the wetlands have been sort of occupied illegally by sometimes low-income people, but more times by rich people. Rich people have built big apartment complexes in these areas where it's for water retention. So in my particular area, big issue is flooding because of illegal filling and construction. So those need to be looked at as well. So multiple issues.
And why should people in Colombo should vote for Dr. Harsha de Silva?
I mean, I'm not looking at Colombo, honestly. I'm looking at the country, because I, as a member of parliament, would, yes, technically represent Colombo, but I think I have a bigger role for all people living in this country. So my reasoning is, look, the next 5 years are going to be challenging in terms of fixing the economy. And as, even though I may say it myself, the first person who brought to the attention of the then government, my first speech in parliament when I sat there in 2020, I said, look, please go to the IMF and resolve this problem. And since then, I've been perhaps the most vociferous and have argued on a daily basis. I provided 3 documents to the government, which was submitted under the name of our political party, SJB. The first blueprint, the second one, and the third listed out 62 pages of technical details. This you need to do, this you need to do. So I have a plan, and I bring quite a bit of experience to Parliament, not just being a politician, but prior to being a politician, being a successful entrepreneur, being a banker, worked around the world in multiple countries, and also taught at universities. So I have a holistic view now with my experience. I believe I can sort of see beyond the obvious, and so therefore, and honestly, I'm okay, right? I came into politics only after I ensured that my domestic economy was safe and sound, that I really didn't need to work anymore, right? And so there is an urge inside me, to make sure that the young people of this country would have a future, because I have 2 children and I know their aspirations, I know their dreams, and I want to do something so that we are on the right track. But I must add this, when I go campaigning, people come and say thank you, thank you, thank you. And most of those thank yous are for what we created, 1990 Suez area.
And also, as a last question, I would like to ask, there's this famous incident where you made an allegation that there are people who want to stop Harsha de Silva going into politics. I think people, I mean, people who love you would like to know who are these people who want to block you from politics.
The latest is Mr. Dudley Sirisena. You know, he held a press conference and said he will make sure my political career is ended, right? Because I'm fighting the oligopoly in the rice market. I mean, there are others. I mean, I told the speaker that if somebody kills me on the road because I'm going after this visa scandal, then he'll have to look after my family, right? There are other people who don't like my sort of type of politics. So there are, and also it's competitive, right? And I, of course, don't take these things seriously. I laugh, and it's challenging sometimes, but I take all those on the bump.
Thank you very much for joining us, and also congratulations and all the best for your campaign. We wish you all the best, Dr. Harsha.
Thank you very much.